It's a hot summer day at Jättämaa Airsoft Field, and I brought along my entire collection to shoot with all my Airsoft replicas. I decided to give a short review of each and will rank the top 10 replicas in my collection and mentioning 2 previous guns. Now obviously ranking is very subjective and this is just my opinion. There is even the Marui Scorpion from the year 1986 and the very first AEG, the FAMAS from 1991. Before we start, drop your favorite in the comments and check out the Airsoft history documentary for more on this awesome hobby. The number 1 place goes to Tokyo Marui MPR16 gas blowback rifle, my all-time favorite. Based on the MWS platform released in 2015, the MTR16 is less milsim and more of a competitive shooting replica, popular in tactical shooting. Internally, it's the same as other M4 MWS replicas. The kick comes from a simulated recoil system using a moving bolt carrier group. You can add more recoil by increasing the weight of the moving mass, though more mass uses more gas and thus is feasible only in the summer heat. I usually use GunsModify P-Max. They weigh around 380 grams and have the realistic around 35 ppb max. And then there is the drum magazine. The point of a larger magazine is that it has more thermal mass, meaning it can absorb and retain more heat. During rapid firing, this helps to buffer the cooling effect, so the pressure drop is lower and performance stays more stable compared to smaller magazines. While it's a gas-powered gun, the MWS can still function in winter, but keeping the max warm is a hassle. On cold days, I just go with AEGs because I'm a very lazy person. Aside from one broken nozzle caused by a jammed BB, I have had no major problems with this. If you are looking for a high-end Japanese GBBR, the MWS is my top recommendation, no matter the model. Since this is a Japanese-made replica limited to 0.98 joules, preferably with duster gas, you'll need to install a stronger nozzle return spring for propane-based gases. Another must-have upgrade is an NPAS nozzle, which lets you adjust the muzzle velocity using a screw. That way you can tune the gun for CQB or even use it as a DMR with more than 2 joules power. The stronger propane-based gases add some minor issues to the platform, which is designed for weaker gases, and I have reviewed these on Facebook. An honorable mention, competing from the place 1, is Cybergun GunsModify SCAR. I no longer own it, but it uses MWS compatible max and nozzle. The bolt system was different though, and in the end I just preferred the M4 layout more. The number 2 place goes to LCT HK53, a retro style AEG that was released in 2021. A replica of the West German HK53 carbine from the mid 1970s, also called the TIC MP5. This thing is really heavy and full steel, easily the most solid feeling Airsoft replica I have owned. Playing with it is full upper body workout. This has the EBB, electric blowback, fun to shoot but more expensive, and generally all EBBs are less durable than non-EBBs. LCT makes non-blowback versions of its AEGs, and those are also fantastic. This shoots about 1.5 joules stock. There is a quick spring change system, but it only fits LCT's shorter springs. Battery space is tight in the front handguard, so I mounted an external battery box to use an 11.1 volt LiPo. Like most LCT AEGs, it came without a MOSFET, something you'll definitely want with 11.1 volt to avoid frying the trigger contacts. I got this second hand for a great price. Pro tip: always start your morning by checking what's available at Kuula-tori. Sometimes gems pop up. The third place goes to Tokyo Marui Hi-Capas, not as stock but when upgraded. The Hi-Capa is a modern double-stacked M1911. Marui released the original in 2004, the short 4.3 in 2005 and the gold match in 2015. I have preferred buying broken Hi-Capas from Kuula-tori, repairing them and then hunting for upgrade parts on discount. The favorite is the yellow-blue, can be called the Slava Ukraini or Heja Sverige build. Originally a gold match, only with a few small springs remaining from the base gun. I've done a review on what upgrade parts contribute most to the Hi-Capa performance. With the 1 joule power, this is a great CQB primary. The LA-Capa Customs frame was super easy to install. It has a 5KU aluminium grip, edge slide and steel outer barrel. The TTI TDC hop chamber is among the best out there. When possible, always go to the TDC or top dead center. The third place is also shared by my rainbow build. It's based on the CTM TAC flatline split slide kit, which is among the best slides out there. CTM TAC is really churning out great upgrades for Hi-Capas as well as the AAP01. The flatline slide also converts the regular, not so good Marui hop-up chamber to a TDC capable of lifting very heavy BBs. The hop-up can be easily adjusted from a wheel mid-game. The Marui Hi-Capa is a great base gun for unlimited customization possibilities. In the Airsoft history documentary, the development of this awesome platform was reviewed and some of the best parts manufacturers were highlighted. I would also love to try building a custom AAP01 someday. Number 4. The Novritsch SSR90, a mid-priced AEG based on the Belgian P90 by FN Herstal, produced since 1990. Marui released the first Airsoft P90 in 2001 and this Novritsch piece came in 22. It's reliable, very easy to use and has the best trigger feel among all my non-blowback AEGs. The electronic trigger unit is programmable, the full auto is exceptional, it's well over 20 rounds per second. The nylon body is sturdy, it doesn't feel like cheap plastic. The most affordable mags are by CIMA and they have the dummy bullets. The bullpup design allows for a long 260mm inner barrel. There are also other bullpups that I would really like the Steyr AUG, the Tavor, and especially the GBBR FAMAS. I'm very happy with this SSR90 and will someday get another Novritsch AEG. And the 5th place goes to the Breacher, pump-action shotgun by Tokyo Marui. Released in 2014, this short shotgun is just pure fun. My upgrade video for it is my channel's most viewed. Shotguns are not for beginners, and actually I'm not a very good player myself, but going around with the pump-action shotgun is just fun. Externally it is very solid, but internally, unfortunately, a bit too much ABS plastic. I have shot with it a lot and everything still works. It's probably the most upgradable pump-action shotgun available, except for precision barrels, which are impossible to find. The gas tank is quite small, so be prepared to have 2 or 3 or 10 you just HPA that thing. I'm currently not doing HPA. And number 6, the Tokyo Marui Next Gen M4, the SOPMOD model. This came out in 2008. The electric blowback is the thing why I got this. However, as a Marui replica, the power is slightly less 1 joule. As such, it's good in CQB, but inferior with longer ranges. Upgrading this is very difficult, not comparable to regular AEGs, and it costs a lot. I have had very much fun with this, but today if I were to choose an M4 AEG with the blowback, I would not choose Marui, but the KWA Ronin. The problem with Marui Next Gen is that it is rather expensive compared to the others that are available. A huge negative aspect of the Marui Next Gen is the lack of any quick spring change system. Changing the spring is very laborsome. Number 7, the Specna Arms Edge 2. I don't own this replica anymore, but after the Novritsch SSR90, this has been my favorite among mid-priced regular AEGs. Also, this was bought second-hand from Kuula-tori. First I ran it as a DMR, then the Orion gearbox broke with the M140 spring when we had New Year's Eve games with more than -15 degrees of Celsius. After some renovations, I ran it as a regular rifle instead of a DMR. It still fired far and very accurately. The Specna has very good ETU, the gate aster with optical sensors, and the spring chain system, which is nowadays a must. Although it has a good barrel and a flat hop, the accuracy was still improved with the Da Vinci steel barrel, retro arms hop chamber, and a maple leaf bucking. Number 8, the Galil by ICS. ICS released the Galil line first in 2009. Galil is an Israeli rifle from the early 1970s, and it was based on the Finnish RK62 assault rifle. My Galil is the MRS version, a modernized version with the rails, and this was released in 2010. It shoots far with 1.5 joules and very accurately. Like the replicas of the time, there is no MOSFET. Also, the trigger feel is quite bad. As far as I know, ICS only makes Hi-Cap magazines for the Galil, no mid-caps. So what I did, I got some CIMA AK mags, and after some filing work, these can be fitted. Externally this is great, the receiver is stamped steel, the folding stock is aluminium, it has real Hebrew markings on the left side. It's a very basic AEG, but with the Smoky Wolf, the firing experience of this can be made a bit better. In the near future I'm gonna upgrade this to get some better trigger response, faster motor, ETU, so I can run it with 11 volt battery. The firing response is quite sluggish with the 7.4 volt LiPo battery. But I think after upgrading the electrical system and the motor, this will be great. Next up, number 9. The Armorer Works Wind Velocity Hi-Capa. After some serious upgrade work, this cannot be used in Airsoft. It fires +2 joules. It's mostly because the upgrades included a very long inner barrel, and when this is combined with the great gas efficacy the gun has. I only use this for target shooting nowadays, but before this was upgraded, I was able to use it in the field when it was less powerful with blue gas. And then there is the black version of the wind velocity. I also bought this second hand, did some renovation, and it works like charm. With less serious upgrades, this can be used in the field, and it even competes with rifles even at the forest field. Combine this with a drum mag and the opponents are screwed. And finally, number 10, the SSP2, the Novritsch version of the Hi-Capa. Also, this was bought second hand. The owner thought it is broken because the inner barrel comes out from the out barrel always when you shoot. Turned out the screws holding the barrel were just loose. Otherwise it is very durable, quite hard kicking. It has maple leaf silicone bucking and the hop-up is TDC type. Therefore I use at least 0.32 gram BBs. For those who like Hi-Capas and do not want to build, go for this over the Marui plastic thing. And now here you will see how the inner barrel comes out when the screws get loose. Recommend some Loctite here. Now we are finished with the top 10. I'm not ranking the rest of my collection, let's just go through them all. This is the WE Tech T.Rex Hi-Capa. Again, it's very good, and for those who do not want to build a Hi-Capa, this could be better than the Marui. It's durable, I have only needed to change the nozzle return spring once. Also this is very compatible with a range of magazines from Marui to Vorsk to Armored Works and of course to WE Tech. This is the Marui 4.3 Hi-Capa. Short barrel means low power, but it's fine in CQB. The combination of a hot day and green gas was too much for this. The cylinder violently expanded and got stuck. It needs to be replaced. As mentioned before, Marui replicas are designed for duster gas, not for the more powerful propane-based green gas. Tokyo Marui's PAS 12. Released in 1998, it was the first ever replica to shoot multiple BBs per shot, 3 in this case. Back in the day, I remember this was considered quite powerful and fearsome. The power being around 0.8 joules, but with today's standards, this is just a collection item. I wouldn't even CQB with this. SPAS is spring powered. The pumping is very stiff and the shooting range is horribly short. Even cheap Springer pistols have a longer shooting distance. Despite the flaws, the SPAS is cool. It has appeared in so many video games like the Half-Life, Far Cry, and movies like Jurassic Park and the Terminator. If any company made a modern gas version of this, I could even sell my kidney to get one. The magazines are these shotgun shells, where you put the BBs in. The Marui Breacher, which I showed previously, uses these same shells. Except for the Breacher, I now have the M4 magazine adapter. The SPAS is almost completely ABS plastic, and it feels like a toy in your hands. Marui MC51, released in 1996. This AEG is pure nostalgia. I used it as my main AEG back in the day when I started Airsoft. And back then, this was so good that I couldn't even imagine how much Airsoft is going to evolve into better. This fires 0.7 joules, meaning the BBs fly so slowly into air that the opponent can almost do Matrix-like dodging of the flying BBs. Other features of the 90s AEGs include a horrible trigger response, horrible motor sounds, etc. These kind of AEGs existed before the hop-up revolution of the 2000s, so don't expect to lift heavy BBs, and the accuracy is quite poor. I have actually played with this during the past year and even managed to get some scores, but like the SPAS 12, this is mainly a museum item or for those who just collect airsoft stuff. Tokyo Marui M16A1, the Vietnam version, from year 1993. AEGs like this were revolutionary back in the day, and actually the modern era of airsoft history started with the first AEG in 1991. These are all ABS plastic toy guns and almost guaranteed to break if you drop them to the ground. The original version 2 gearbox was very fragile, so there were limitations to upgrades. Back in the day, people didn't know about the cheap methods to make the gearbox stronger. These were invented in the 2000s, like radiusing the gearbox or rounding the corners, which are the pressure points. This is called in Finnish vahvistusviilaus. The other issue is the sorbo-chain pads that first came into airsoft in around 2008. The sorbo pads not only reduce the mechanical stress, but also allow fine-tuning of the angle of engagement, meaning you can fine-tune the gears. And finally, then there is the Marui FAMAS from 1991, the first AEG that started the modern airsoft era. The FAMAS is the French assault rifle. It was designed in 1978. In this replica, the electrical connection is loose, which is why I'm not able to shoot with it for now. I'll have to fix it later. But as you can see, it's very ABS plastic. And then the oldest thing in my collection, the Marui Scorpion, a Springer that was first released in 1986. My brother's first proper airsoft gun was the Scorpion when we started. And I remember this was not so bad in the late 1990s. Now when I fire with this, the power, the accuracy, the range all feel quite horrible. Also, this is a replica that belongs to the museum as a collector's item. I wouldn't use this in the field. And last but not least, the Marui PC356 Springer. This kind of Marui Springer pistols surprise with how good the hop-up actually is. The range is surprisingly good and these are reliable to operate. We still occasionally play the all Springer games. It's a very fun gameplay style. This is what airsoft used to be for the many back in the day. Totally different from what it is nowadays. Thank you for watching, and the next project will be that I will try to find the time to finish the part 2 of the airsoft history documentary.
No ei kumminkaan, eikä se ollut tarkoitus.
Vielä.
Kiertää. Pututtaisiko nelppi?
Lyhennys takana.
Onko tarpeeksi?
Se on koineen.
Joo. Ai, jostakin ammutti.